All right. Good afternoon. This is Mr. Black teaching a little economics. We're gonna second video that we're doing today is on free market economies. Right? We've been talking about command economies and free market economies, sort of contrasting and comparing those two systems. And watch the other video or watch some of the other slides or videos that we posted about command economy. For today, I want to talk about a free market economy. Free market economy, right? The market is the central sort of decision maker, if you will, in the free market economy, right? The market decides who gets it. What are we going to produce? Well, whatever the market wants, right? People, what do people want? So the free market emphasizes, the name emphasizes that fact that the market is really important. And we're going to look at markets and what is a market and what are they good for? How do they work? A market, as you can see on the board here, a market is when exchange happens. Whenever and wherever exchange happens, you've created a market, right? If you're selling sodas and candies to your friends, you're creating a market, right? If you are opening a restaurant, you're creating a market, right? If you're, you think of any store is marketing certain products, a grocery store, a drugstore, fast food restaurant. It's a market. You go, we don't call it a market so much, but it is a market where exchange is happening. Money and goods and services, right? Usually that. Sometimes we barter, but mostly when buyers and sellers come together to exchange money and goods and services, that's a market. A market can be at a store, right? It could be online, like think about Amazon.com or some of these websites where you can buy things. Many stores have online outlets now too, so they're making a market in their products, right? And it could be on the side of the road, a fruit stand, a farmer selling out of the back of his truck. Someone, selling water on the meridian on the road on a hot summer day. He's making a market, right? Exchanging goods and services, usually money and goods and services, right? We use money as a medium of exchange, and we'll get into that in a little while. So think about a market has two parties. Two parties come together, right? Buyer and a seller, a producer and a consumer, right? These are terms we use to describe the main players in a market. We have individual buyers, sometimes called households, people, right? Consumers and producers, they're obviously people too, but they're businesses that make things and supply things. We call them buyers and sellers, consumers and producers, or suppliers and demanders, people that demand things, want things, and people that supply things. So different terms we use, all talking about these same two major categories of buyers and sellers, right? This is a free market. What do we mean when it's a free market? Well, we let the market kind of decide what we're going to produce, right? What are we going to produce? Well, we're going to produce whatever people want. There's a word we use here, and that's called consumer sovereignty. So consumers have the power. Whatever people want in a free market economy, usually the market's going to figure it out and supply that, because they can make money and fulfill the needs and wants of the consumers, right? We live in a consumer society that has obviously good points and bad points, so we have a lot of consumption going on and a lot of supply of goods and services available to us. One of the advantages of free market economy is there's a lot of freedom, right? You as an individual living in a free market, you can decide pretty much for yourself what you want to do, right? You can decide to go right into the workforce. You can decide to go to college. You can decide to open up a business. You can decide to go work for this person. A business can decide what are we going to make, how much are we going to charge for it, how are we going to brand it. There's a lot going into a lot of choices and a lot of freedom of choice in a free market economy. Right? Individuals have the opportunity to be entrepreneurs, to try new things, and the government's going to kind of let it happen. Right? There's that term laissez-faire, French for let it be, and it's an economic term actually used in economics to mean the government is more hands-off. They're going to let the market function, and they know the market to be very efficient. The market is efficient because there's competition. People aren't going to waste resources. They're going to maximize profits. They're going to compete with each other. They're going to produce what people want to buy, and they're not going to produce what people don't buy. So there's a whole sort of invisible hand that operates and fulfills everybody's needs and wants based on that free flow of energy, of activities, and production and distribution, right? So there's a lot of freedom. That's a good thing about the free market economy. People have the opportunity to do that. Now, some people are very successful with that, and some people, they just it's not happening. There's a lot of insecurity associated often with a free market economy. Some people are going to do well, some people aren't going to do well. But the government in most economies is there to help organize and people that need assistance to participate and be fully engaged in society. So, but economically, there's a lot of freedom, but and a lot of efficiency in the market. But there's also some insecurity. People fall through the cracks, and the government has to come in and sort of have social service programs for people. It's just the way society is, So it's not all about the economy. The government has a role to play. Remember that most economies are going to be mixed economies where the government plays a big role as well as letting the market sort of function. They sort of regulate things and redistribute income. They tax the rich and they distribute it to people that need it. So there's a whole thing of what we call a progressive tax system that takes money in. The burden is more on those who have more and redistributes that out. Now, think about, here's some characteristics of a free market economy. Private property. Private property is central to a free market. People can own their businesses. They go into business, they own the profits from those businesses, right? If their business makes money, they personally benefit from that. They don't have to send all of the profits and all the revenues up to some central government that's going to distribute it out so everyone gets a fair share. No, you can hit a home run. You can and you own your property. You own your house. You can own, nothing is like the government's not going to take it away from you. You've got property rights. You have certain rights, right? So private property is very important. So you own your labor. You can work for whoever you want. You own your business and the profits that you get from it. So and you can so you own that. Okay. So you have a title to it, and there's a whole legal system that supports that. Profit motive. We talked about that a lot when we're talking about entrepreneurs, right? Entrepreneurs are innovators. They have a good idea, a big idea. They want to implement it in a big way or a smaller way or whatever, but ideally they'd like to make some money, right? So if you're going to work hard, you want to be able to support yourself and live a comfortable life. And if you're going to put in a lot of work into a business, and you want to be rewarded for that. And money is our medium of exchange. So if you have money, then you get a lot of things and services, but everybody has a profit motive. We have to work. The government's not going to give us a place to live and take care of us like in a command economy. We have to sort of fend for ourselves, and even though there's a lot of family and community support, even governmental support. There is this idea that everybody has to kind of make a living, right? So you got to think about your career, how you're going to get there, what steps you need, what skills you need to develop. So this is what we're going to get into moving ahead as we talk more about our next unit. Competition, right? In a free market economy, there's a lot of competition, right? You don't have a monopoly in your business. You might have 10 other people that are trying to do the same thing you do, or they see that you're making a lot of money doing it. Someone's going to move in right next door to you and try to take advantage of that, right? So there's a lot of competition. You come out with a good product, maybe they come out with a better product, and you've got this sort of competitive spirit that drives a free market economy, right? Because you're trying to appeal to consumers and the consumer spending. And so there is a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity, a lot of competition, right? And that gives the consumers a lot of choice, right? Competition creates new products, better products, choices for the consumer, and that's a good thing, right? Keeps prices low. No one can charge too much because the next person might, undercut that. So free market economy has a lot going for it. Most economies try to lend as much as they can towards a free market economy. But again, the government's got to come in, and they have a very important role to play, as I said, providing public goods, providing redistribution of wealth, right? Different things that they'll do. We'll talk about that in our next little video on the mixed economies and the role of the government, right? So free market economy has some good things, freedom of choice, very efficient, but some not so good things, not as much equity and not as much security that like a more socialistic or command economy might provide. Okay? Hope that helps.